Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. And it actually is warm. I have my Zane hoodie, but I took it off because of the heat. It's not too hot, but still. So yeah, I guess, I don't know if I can be seen properly right now, because I'm looking at my camera half and half, and I'm noticing a bit of a shade or something. I don't know. There. And things fly into my eyes. That doesn't help either. Oh well. The paddock. Never been down here before. I'm pretty sure that I've passed it multiple times because of, I remember it from my Macbeth obsession days. Because of course I come Greymalkin paddock calls and on, you know. But, yeah, just looking over here. Just kind of exploring about. You know, a bit of a wander. Never stay in one area too long. Same thing that was said in that My First Pixelmon. Which does remind me, actually, that that My First Pixelmon stuff, both those two episodes, basically what happened around that time was that I watched a Minecraft movie by Galucia Gaming. And it was essentially going to be his first time with YouTube allowing him to record more than I'm going to turn around because I know that's a dead end over there. More than 15 minutes of content. Basically, he had unlimited time to do whatever for the first time. And so he decided to make a Minecraft movie. Which basically meant to say he was going to record for an hour and a half. And he got into kind of the mix of things in survival, and then he started seeing more and more what the world had to offer. Basically, just going through each of the biomes and seeing some very interesting structures. So he came up with the rule of never staying in one area for a Minecraft survival, because you never know what you're going to find. And yeah, that's essentially what that was, and I remember that lesson to this day, because I know exactly what I was referencing. So, yeah, there's a couple of times when I've done that, and I've referenced people that made one specific video as if they were going to either see the video in question, or they were actually going to, or people were going to get the reference. It's like Ark's Survival Minecraft, because basically that was something I referenced in my first ever public video. So the Mario 63, the first episode. So yeah, in that one I referenced a guy called Ark, and basically he just did another regular Minecraft survival, but he was using Ezvid. And that was the recording device that I used as well, up until around, mid 2019 actually, so for most of the time. But and yeah, I just kept on using it. There was a couple of times I would alternate, like maybe a couple of videos in 2016 were done with Camtasia Studio, the free trial, of course, and from then on, I know, just nothing else. That was the only trial round that I did a couple of times. So, I forgot what I was going to say now. Yeah, that was it. So if there's no references like that in some of those old Pixelmon videos, or any old videos in general, the retro reconstructions, that's why. Something I did around 2013. And yeah, actually, I remember that a couple of years after that video, I started thinking that I kind of lost my image, basically, and that I wasn't like myself anymore. Like, my personality had done a complete shift from 13 to 15, which basically can happen, although now I think about it, not really too much. Basically, at that time, I was stopping. I was not copying Sky as much as I was intending to, because there were a couple of times that I would do certain things, or like I've done in that video, in my first Pixel Morning, I started going several times. Yeah, that was because that was what Sky would do at the time. I can fully admit that now. I didn't have as much of a unique identity. And for some reason, around 2015 or so, I thought that was a problem. That's kind of why I started doing retro reconstructions, was trying to bring back the videos that never got aired because of that virus that my computer got. And yeah, I guess those are still kind of coming out. I still have the files. It's just that when I started doing a lot more of those, they didn't perform as well. Well, for obvious reasons now, actually. It's not that the subjects in question were terrible, it's the execution. I've been looking more and more into what actually makes good YouTube videos, and Walking Wednesday is still an anomaly to me, because I don't know why that does well for people. But for the most part, I can kind of see now what works and what doesn't. And usually, the retro reconstructions don't. So I'll still probably release them from time to time. Just like if I need to take a massive break and enough stuff recorded, like the entirety of Pixel Month, then I'll go ahead and do those. But they're kind of a backup resort at the moment. But yeah, I thought that I had to return to more of what I called Classic Jacob. And nowadays, I would classify the 2015 version of me as Classic Jacob. And I don't know. Maybe if I talk about it in terms of like Minecraft releases, it was like InDev Jacob and InfDev Jacob. And then I don't know. Maybe actually Alpha Jacob and Beta Jacob were after that, and like kind of the 2015 to 17 range, and then Release Jacob was after the truth about Travis. Let's just go with that. Just separate the eras of my channel by that much. I might actually completely claim the opposite at one point. Tell you what, now that we're here, just going to tell you something. This was always open. I have no idea why. There was a time when security around the schools wasn't as good, so people could just walk through Busbridge Infant School, and I used to live just on the opposite side of that. So it just resulted in people just being able to walk past. Even I don't think. Maybe not so much during school time, I don't know, because, again, I was always in school during that school time, somewhere else. But that always struck me as odd. Obviously now, the gates are closed to everyone, students included. So yeah, it's just interesting to see the contrast. But good to know that they actually can lock the gates when they want to. Otherwise, that would be more of a problem. Oh well. By the way, in reference to everything that's going on right now, yes, I'm safe, and no, I don't think I have a fake temperature anymore. Again, it's hotter than usual. And as for the coughing, that was just me still not hydrating enough, even though I keep trying. The thing is that my room is a microclimate that just absorbs heat. So, yeah, gonna have to think about that. Tell you what, I watched a Red Dwarf episode yesterday. That was called Quarantine, and it partly featured a holovirus that was spreading, and accidentally got to Rimmer, of course, if you know the show. Here I am referencing stuff again that people might not know. And then the other three characters had to be put in quarantine by Rimmer because he didn't want to contract the virus, even though he already had. But they didn't know that. And part of the story was about them arguing over and over again and not being able to get a moment apart from each other. Because as per Space Corps Directive 595, they can only get 1 quarter space during per registered crew member. And as there's only 1 registered crew member, because of reasons that are explained in the show, they only got 1 quarter to all of them. So yeah, there was a lot going on there. Well, I've been talking for 10 minutes. I've even referenced what's happening in the week. Okay, well, voice acting auditions, again, I've noticed as well that people are starting to comment on the auditions themselves, asking me if I want to take part in their projects. And I found out that I actually missed one by a day because I haven't read the comment. Normally I get those messages through Discord, but I'm going to try now and look back through all of my auditions and see if there are any spaces left over. And or if anyone messages them. I think as I do more and more, that's going to get more complicated. But that'll be fine. As well as that, if I don't get to them in time, I guess I can review them. I mean, why not? If CDog VA does voice acting reviews, then I guess my realm, which is gacha voice acting, I can do the same thing. I guess. I feel like I've got a good enough grasp on that by this point to at least offer points of criticism to people. And I do understand that a lot of gacha voice actors haven't got fully developed voices. I mean, if anything, technically speaking, neither would I actually, because I think that the male voice still is developing up until around 25, I want to say. So I guess I've got 5 more years of finding my voice, so that'll be fun. In the meantime, you get to watch my first Pixelmon, where it was completely different. I had BB Butter tell me that he actually was imagining what I would sound like now, saying everything that I said in that video. Just don't bother with that. Just embrace the prepubescence. That's the rule of thumb with those ones. Because I know that a lot of people actually don't like the prepubescent voices, but to be honest, I sometimes, especially when I first lost it, I missed it a lot. Especially when it came to singing, because it took me a good 2 years before I could actually found out that I still have a decent vocal range. I was going to say great vocal range. I'm not going to hype myself up that much. But I don't know, I'm sure that you might have heard some harmonies that I've done in the past and said, oh yeah, well, there you go, still can go high. And I still sang in the soprano section of every choir that I was allowed to be in. Because there was one example where someone said, oh yeah, you'll damage your voice or whatever. Which I get. I get that falsetto can damage the voice sometimes, but then so can singing normally. So I don't really get what the huge difference is. Especially considering because one of the same people who told me that damages the voice then went on to praise it. So I don't even know. Several things being told by several people. I don't know if I mentioned this, but the choir that I did last year for university, there was 1 week where I wasn't allowed in that section, and I was relegated to the tenors, and which granted I can do. I can probably do well in pretty much anywhere in a choir except in alto. So yeah. So then the director was also thinking about putting me in basses, because a lot of countertenors, which is the technical term for a male soprano of my age, were actually natural basses. Which again I get as well, but I don't know, I did fine in tenors, and the next week I said, please can I try and join the sopranos? I did, because actually it turns out this choir has had the complete opposite problem to the one I had in college. Which, by the way, college means sixth form around here, not university. University is a different thing for us. So yeah, in that earlier choir, there were too many sopranos. Pretty much everyone was a soprano. There were probably, I don't know, 6 tenors and basses in general. So I don't know, my inclusion there was probably not for the best overall. especially since a lot of them weren't very loud or confident. But in the university choir, there was complete opposite. There were actually only 5 sopranos, myself included. So they needed all the people they could get. Maybe that's why I got away with it. Who knows? I went on a massive tangent there. But yeah, in terms of my pubescent voice, that's part of the reason I wanted to actually show all the retro reconstructions, because it's almost like a journey. It's like I've grown up with my channel. It's like the complete opposite to what I used to think, where I wanted to actually return to that. And now that I look back on both of those eras, 2015 and 2013, and I don't want to go back to them. I mean, 2015 produced a lot of really good things, like that year's Pixelmon series, which was, again, the most popular series for quite a while before the AFMAO stuff came and swept it aside. But overall, the execution of the videos was poor, the editing was poor or non-existent, because I didn't know how to do Sony Vegas then, and yeah, just in general, I don't know, sometimes I'd be stopping right now and trying to think of what to say, and it just isn't as good. It isn't who I am now, and that was the problem back then, but it's great now that I've come in so many leaps and bounds, and now I have the team, I have Buttercore, which is basically a year old by this point. I don't know what day it was created, but it was sometime in April 2019, so yeah, happy anniversary to you guys, actually, who have been there from the start. And then I also just have myself, like, having perfected my craft and everything. I mean, there were plenty of times, I'm gonna sound very corny right now, but plenty of times where I just thought, like, to give up, essentially, because I was getting nowhere. I would gain probably like 10 subscribers a year, sometimes even less than that. And, well, eventually then 30, and then, but kept going and going. I mean, Truth About Travis came in 4 years after I'd started. And after that point, everything was different. So if I'd stopped, and I'd not actually carried on with that channel, you know, I basically wouldn't be here where I am today. And I know it's not very far, but it's leaps and bounds from where I was, trust me. There are people who have been there since the beginning that can compare and contrast to now. And there are some nostalgic folk like Leon Tarkshina who misses the old Jacob, but as for the new Jacob, that is not the case anymore. So, honestly, I am quite happy with where I am now. And I'm quite happy continuing to develop as a unique person and not as a copy of someone that I actually admire. And yes, you think that I copy stuff from AFMAO, or even stuff that I'm going to actually bring out later with reference to Masako X, but those are just things that I want to try because I like them. That's kind of what being a YouTuber is, but it's also bringing your own spin to that. It's the remix strategy. So yeah, I'm going to continue to do that with full confidence that I'm no longer trying to be a carbon copy of someone who got popular and had way better execution than I did. That was a whole arc and a half right there. I barely referenced what was going on in the week, but then again, it's quarantine. What's going on in the week in general? I don't know. More production stuff. Mutant Girl Season 2 Episode 2 having a bit of a delay issue. I don't know. I guess it's another Walking Wednesday where it's just another time where I have a bit of a discussion and a bit of an arc about something that was on my mind rather than what's going on in the week. And to be honest, I like doing those too. So it's good when it happens. So yeah, time to get back to what I was doing, which is actually another AFMAO parody. So returning to AFMAO stuff, but AFMAO stuff my way. I should have done that joke when I did the Demon Warlock song. Oh well, doesn't matter. Please leave a like or dislike because your opinion matters. And on that note, until next time, farewell.